Good afternoon. I want to thank the Miranda Pupillage Group and the Sotomayor Inn of Court for inviting me. This is Celeste, formerly C de Baca, now Quiñones, and I'm coming to you from North Carolina. About 2 years ago, I completely retired and moved to North Carolina and am living the good life out here, golf and the beach and raising a grandson. But I was thrilled when Judge Fox first reached out to me and told me about the presentation that is taking place tonight. And I was especially honored then when Judge Volz reached out and asked if I would be willing and able to provide some input by video. And that's what I'm doing tonight. So Chris Miranda was a great friend, a great lawyer, and just a wonderful advocate in the community. We lost him way, way too early, and it is really great that you as a group are learning a little bit more about his legacy tonight. For those of you that did not know Chris Miranda, did not have a chance to work with him, perhaps some of what you will take away will help you in your own personal life. And for those of us that did know Chris, it is a somewhat bittersweet, I think, sometimes reminiscence of some of the things that he accomplished. I want to acknowledge the fact that I believe Mary D. Miranda and Van Miranda are there tonight. And of course, you'll get the input from them. They knew him way well, of course, way better than I did. But I'm really honored that I also could weigh in on this. I had the privilege of working with Chris on a couple of his key roles in life as in terms of volunteer activism: the Hispanic Bar Association of Colorado, the Hispanic National Bar Association, also some of his work with the National Institute of Trial Advocacy, and as a law professor at CU in trial advocacy skills. I have a very fond and specific memory watching Chris as he advocated with certain United States senators in the 1990s for the Hispanic National Bar Association's role in attempting to diversify the federal bench. Specifically, before about 1993, there had never been a Latina, a Hispanic female, appointed to any federal district court bench anywhere in the United States. And the Hispanic National Bar Association, with Chris's leadership, was able to change that. A recipient of those efforts was then private lawyer Sonia Sotomayor, who was initially appointed to the district court bench for New York. Of course, she is now Justice Sotomayor. There were other judges in the states of New Mexico, Texas, and California that were appointed specifically, again, because the HNBA took on such a big role and because Chris was willing to devote so much time and energy and skills to helping make that happen. But watching him in that role and in his advocacy with United States senators was truly something to behold. Chris did not, it's very difficult to separate the professional from the personal, because in giving a speech or an acknowledgement of what he did as a professional, it was because of the upbringing, the values, the core values, and the kind of person that he was so successful in any of those roles. I had mentioned that during Chris's memorial. I was honored by the family to give one of the eulogies at the memorial, and I said that it was very difficult to separate out and to just carve out that Chris was this as a litigator or as a lawyer, because it was really truly the whole person. The other thing that was always very admirable is that Chris had a work-life balance way before it was a fashionable or appropriate term or a well-used term. Any of you who had the opportunity, for example, to play golf with Chris know exactly what I mean. I was privileged to be one of those people, and I miss that just as much as I miss the fact that we lost so much in terms of Chris's advocacy. At the time of the memorial service, I specifically read a quote that was attributed to, or was attributed to, and is in fact from one of Melvin Belli's books, I believe. And he says, "A good legal mind has to see through to the core of a case, exploring its ongoing legal ramifications and its social importance, and then work with all his ingenuity to make the wheels of justice turn in a new way." And I specifically picked that quote because I believe that it embodied what Chris was, not just in his legal skills and in the cases that he took on and in the cases that he was so successful, but specifically in any role that he took on. And that would include the advocacy work that he did. That would include his mentorship of young lawyers. He really never said no, and he was always so diplomatic and so willing to take on these roles in the community and to give back to that community. And you can't separate that out and say that that was just as a professional. It was part of the person that he was, part and parcel of the kind of person that he was. And if those of you who did not know Chris don't take anything else away from tonight's presentation, hopefully it is for you a window into the kind of lawyer and person and friend that we all should be and should aspire to, because that's what Chris was. In terms of Chris's commitment, that continued even as he was sick, even as he knew that, and he was fighting the cancer that ultimately took him. He still kept up with the kinds of commitments that he made to all of these various entities and groups in the community, and certainly to his clients. Chris was a wonderful lawyer. His diplomacy, his mannerisms in the courtroom were truly something to behold. And any of you who had the opportunity to work with him through the National Institute for Trial Advocacy or in his role as a professor at CU Law School, I think would agree with me, because that came through loud and clear when you observed any of that. It is wonderful that the Sotomayor Inn of Court and the Miranda Pupillage are sponsoring this event tonight, and it is a great, great honor for me to have been able to make these brief remarks and have them come to you by video. I hope that after tonight's presentation, you all have a greater appreciation for what Chris was, and for those of you that didn't know him, again, that you take away some ability to emulate some of the things that I've talked about. What I said at the memorial service was that the world lost somebody great, and it will never be the same. Hopefully by tonight's events and other events where Chris's legacy has been acknowledged, some of what he accomplished is passed on. Thank you very much.